Explorer Attilio Gatti with 2 hunters and a captured gorilla during an expedition in the Belgian Congo, 1930. Fashionable cone masks designed to shield faces from wind and snow in Europe during the 1930s. French World War I veterans with facial injuries at the Banquet of Mutilated Faces in Paris, 1925. Ham, the first chimp in space, flew on Mercury Redstone 2 in 1961, proving primates could work in space. Young pioneers in the Soviet Union wear gas masks during a civil defense drill in the 1930s. German-American farmer John Meintz was brutally tarred and feathered in Minnesota in 1918 for alleged disloyalty, reflecting World War-era anti-German hysteria. The 1907 Iron Man diving suit by Chester McDuffie, made of steel and brass, weighed 550 pounds and was built to endure deep sea pressure. Three soldiers of the Grenadier Guards, famed British regiment known for combat history, and the iconic bearskin caps introduced after Waterloo. A Victorian woman by a candlelit Christmas tree. The custom, popularized by Prince Albert, featured real candles, sweets, and German ornaments. A man poses with a donkey in an 1895 photo, often misattributed to Juan Ramón Jiménez. The museum confirmed it's not the poet with Platero. A dramatic 1908 photo by Francis James Mortimer shows the Arden Craig's crew rescue off Cornwall, a landmark moment in maritime photography. A rare daguerreotype, 1866 to 1868, of a cat with a Mexican serape. Early pet portraits were uncommon due to the cost and complexity of the process. A service station attendant in Houston pumps air into a football for two boys, 1940s. Gas stations were local hubs of daily life back then. Actors Janet Leigh and Tony Curtis play with their daughter Jamie Lee Curtis in their driveway, late 1950s. A rare, candid family moment. Women skip rope during a lunch break on a London street in 1953, capturing the joy and camaraderie of post-war working-class life. Workers building the Golden Gate Bridge, 1930s. A safety net saved 19 lives, earning them the Halfway to Hell Club, a landmark in engineering safety. A child collects debris after a bombing raid in London, 1941. Photo by Bill Brandt, capturing the civilian resilience of the Blitz. A migrant family stranded between Dallas and Austin, Texas, 1936. Photo by Dorothea Lange, capturing the harsh reality of the Great Depression. Trainees in Canada practiced milking with artificial udders in 1927. Milkmen were trained to ensure quality and hygiene before industrial dairy. Roger Miller at the 1963 Camden, Tennessee crash site that killed Patsy Cline, Hawkshaw Hawkins, Cowboy Copas, and pilot Randy Hughes. Children run out of Bucota Public School, Washington, 1942. Photo by Arthur Rothstein, capturing the pure joy of the school day's end during wartime America. A humorous pawnbroker shop in Ironton, Colorado, 1886. Beware and I Steal catered to miners during the silver boom in the Old West. If you are enjoying the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. It really helps the channel. An elderly woman smokes a pipe on her porch in Appalachia, 1917. A glimpse into the rugged, traditional life of early 20th century mountain communities. A woman posts a letter beside a 1927 Royal Enfield Ladies Model motorcycle, symbolizing the rise of female riders in early 20th century Britain. Washington, D.C., April 5, 1968. A damaged mannequin amid debris and soldiers after riots following Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. Dutch resistance members celebrate the news of Adolf Hitler's death in May 1945, marking the nearing end of World War II and Nazi occupation of the Netherlands. An American soldier shelters a wounded Japanese boy in an aircraft cockpit during the Battle of Saipan, July 1944. Photo by Peter Stackpole. A soldier sleeps beside his father, who visited him at the front near Belgrade, 1914 to 1915. A rare, intimate moment during the horrors of World War I. 9 European monarchs at Windsor Castle for Edward VII's funeral, May 1910. Many were relatives. World War I would soon end several of their reigns. A lector reads to cigar workers in a Cuban factory, circa 1900 to 1910. Lectors kept workers informed and entertained, a unique labor tradition of the era. A French woman joyfully welcomes an American soldier 2 days after the liberation of Strasbourg, 1944. A moment of relief after years of occupation. September 3rd, 1967. Sweden switches traffic from left to right during Dagen H, a massive historic operation that ran with surprising precision. A nurse holds a child infected with smallpox during the 1963 Wrocław epidemic, one of Europe's last outbreaks before the disease's eradication. the luxurious wicker-seated cabin of an Imperial Airways HP-42, a 1930s biplane that carried elite passengers across Europe, Africa, and Asia. Danish explorer Peter Freuchen, famed Arctic adventurer and Nazi resistance member, poses with his wife Dagmar Kohn, a celebrated fashion designer. Allied soldiers mock Hitler with ironic salutes on the ruined Reich Chancellery balcony in Berlin, weeks after Nazi Germany's surrender in July 1945. Jurors shield their faces during Al Capone's 1931 trial in Chicago, fearing retaliation as the gangster faced tax evasion charges that led to his downfall. A black officer protects a KKK member from protesters during a rally, symbolizing the weight of duty amid deep racial hatred in America's civil rights era. An African-American World War I soldier smiles while holding a gas mask, symbolizing courage and resilience during an era of both war and racial discrimination. British troops uncover mass graves at Bergen-Belsen after liberating over 60,000 prisoners. Typhus, starvation, and disease had claimed thousands of lives. A spectacular game of human chess at Palace Square, St. Petersburg, early 1920s. Soldiers on horseback and performers act as living chess pieces. Union and Confederate veterans shake hands 50 years after Gettysburg, during a historic 1913 reunion, symbolizing national reconciliation. A 1907 portrait of Evangeline, an Ojibwe woman from Red Lake Reservation, by Roland W. Reed. A serene, respectful pictorialist image of Native identity. Indian sepoys of the British Indian Army marched during World War I. Over 1.3 million Indians served, fighting in Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Blood-stained jacket of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, assassinated in Sarajevo in 1914. His death set off the chain of events leading to World War I. Lincoln's 1865 funeral train traveled from Washington to Springfield. Millions mourned as his coffin passed under arches like this one, draped in black. A U.S. Marine offers a cigarette to a wounded Japanese soldier during the Battle of Iwo Jima. A fleeting act of humanity amid a brutal Pacific War. Cassius Clay, later Muhammad Ali, wins gold at the 1960 Rome Olympics. At 18, his charisma and skill marked the rise of a boxing and cultural icon. Addie Card, 12, worked at a Vermont cotton mill in 1910. Lewis Hines' photo became a symbol of child labor reform in the U.S. Richard and Maurice McDonald in front of their first restaurant. Their speedy service system transformed a small drive-in into a fast food revolution. Stacks of Guinness barrels at St. James's Gate Brewery, Dublin. Founded in 1759, it remains the historic heart of one of the world's most iconic beers. a rare, unposed image of Joseph Stalin holding a pipe. Unlike official portraits, it shows him in a pensive moment, fueling decades of speculation. The U.S. held its first Vietnam draft lottery since World War II. Birth dates and capsules decided who would be drafted first, changing thousands of lives overnight. A Soviet soldier feeds condensed milk to 2 polar bear cubs from a snow tank in the Arctic, circa 1950. A rare, tender moment in a harsh landscape. Aerial photo from a Japanese plane during the Pearl Harbor attack. A torpedo hits USS West Virginia as other battleships are struck around Ford Island. Zita Sus, a Polish girl kidnapped by Nazis in 1942. Deemed desirable, she was given a new identity and never reunited with her real family. Nurses test gas masks for infants during World War II in Britain. These enclosed devices were designed to protect babies from feared gas attacks. A young South Korean girl carries her sibling during the Korean War, 1950. Behind them, a UN M26 Pershing tank stands, a symbol of war's reach. Belgian miners packed in an elevator cage, circa 1900. These cages carried workers deep underground into brutal and dangerous working conditions. Hungarian Jews undergo selection at Auschwitz in 1944. This image from the Auschwitz album documents the path to forced labor or immediate death. A Somali woman in elegant traditional attire, circa 1940. Her wrapped dress and jewelry reflect cultural identity and timeless style from the Horn of Africa. An Indian Army ambulance driver writhes in pain after a severe leg injury during the Korean War in 1951, a haunting image of sacrifice and war's brutality. White Army soldiers execute Red Guard prisoners during the Hurislahti lottery in 1918, a chilling act of random executions in the Finnish Civil War. A colored drinking fountain under Jim Crow segregation in 1939, captured by Dorothea Lange, a haunting symbol of systemic racial injustice. A nurse and a man transport a patient at Sick Kids Hospital, Toronto, 1912. Founded in 1875, it became a world leader in pediatric medicine and research. Jewish deportees peer through a barbed cattle car window during the Holocaust in occupied Poland, a haunting symbol of Nazi terror and genocide. A massive dust storm approaches Stratford, Texas during the Dust Bowl. Drought and poor farming practices turned farmlands into choking black blizzards. The aftermath of the Flyborgska explosion in Stockholm, April 25, 1926. A taxi carrying dynamite exploded, killing the driver and causing widespread damage. German troops burn a village in Bosnia during World War II. Axis forces used scorched earth tactics, destroying homes and targeting civilians to crush resistance. Members of the Red Cross Motor Corps, St. Louis, 1918. The H1N1 pandemic infected 500 million and killed millions. Masks were key to public health efforts. One of Harvey Cushing's young patients with hydrocephalus. His pioneering neurosurgery work laid the groundwork for modern brain surgery and treatment. Tuberculosis patients treated outdoors in tents. Before antibiotics, fresh air and sunlight were used to ease symptoms and reduce contagion. Doctor and officer in PPE during the 1910 to 1911 Manchurian plague. Wu Liantei's mask became an early model for modern epidemic protection. A lunatic chair used to restrain psychiatric patients in the 1930s, a harsh reminder of early mental health practices before modern reforms. World War I sailor Walter Yeo, before and after, Harold Gillies' pioneering skin flap surgery, marking a turning point in modern reconstructive surgery. If you enjoyed these incredible historical photos, let me know in the comments which one fascinated you the most. I love reading your thoughts and stories. Thanks for watching.